Good evening and welcome to Danny, the Champion of the World, Chapter 6. This is for classes 3, 4 and 5. Let's say hello to our usual characters. Good evening, Rebel the T-Rex, thank you. Over to Pesco. Pesco the Pheasant has managed to take off his sticky hat that he was gobbling all the raisins in. So Pesco's back with us now. And Mr. Shoutout is there. More hello, Mr. Shoutout. He's pointing over to here. Now, we haven't got any artwork. We haven't got any artwork at the minute because you're all on half term. Although you can still make me some or send me some pictures of things you're building. But we do have a mysterious creature that I've been wanting to see for a long time. Let me introduce Mufti the cat. Yassine and Zara, I've been asking you for a picture of this cat you've been telling me about for so long. And finally we get to see Mufti. And isn't Mufti lovely? Okay. Hello, Mufti. Right. And let's get back to the story. And I promised you that this evening we are going to meet what you could probably say is the main baddie in this story. Because every story, well, usually has a real baddie. And we're going to meet them tonight. Chapter 6. Mr. Victor Hazell. The following Friday, while we were having supper in the caravan, my father said, "If it's all right with you, Danny, I'll be going out again tomorrow night." "You mean poaching?" "Yes." "Will it be Hazell's Wood again?" "It'll always be Hazell's Wood," he said. "First, because that's where all the pheasants are. And second, because I don't like Mr. Hazell one little bit, and it's a pleasure to poach his birds." I must pause here to tell you something about Mr. Victor Hazell. He was a brewer of beer, and he owned a huge brewery. He was rich beyond words, and his property stretched for miles along either side of the valley. All the land around us belonged to him. Everything on both sides of the road. Everything except the small patch of ground on which our filling station stood. That patch belonged to my father. It was a little island in the middle of the vast ocean of Mr. Hazell's estate. Mr. Victor Hazell was a roaring snob, and he tried desperately to get in with what he believed were the right kind of people. He hunted with the hounds and gave shooting parties and wore fancy waistcoats. Every week he drove his enormous silver Rolls Royce past our filling station on his way to the brewery. As he flashed by, we would sometimes catch a glimpse of the... Look, even Rebel doesn't like sound of Mr. Hazell, do you, Rebel? I know I don't like the sound of him either. As he flashed by, we would sometimes catch a glimpse of the great glistening beery face above the wheel, pink as a ham, all soft and inflamed from drinking too much beer. "No," my father said, "I do not like Mr. Victor Hazell one little bit. I haven't forgotten the way he spoke to you last year when he came in for a fill-up." Now, children, we're going to have a bit of a flashback now. As you all say in class, oh, backstory, backstory. Yeah, we're going to have a bit of a flashback now, so wait there. In comes Mr. Victor Hazell. Now, it's not a silver Rolls Royce, but here's Mr. Hazell. He arrives in his big flash car. There he is. There he is. He arrives, and here's Danny. There's little Danny next to his car. I hadn't forgotten it either. Mr. Hazell had pulled up alongside the pumps in his glistening, gleaming silver Rolls Royce. He looks like a pretty horrible character, doesn't he? Showing off with that great enormous car. And he said to me, "Fill her up and look sharp about it." I was 8 years old at the time. He didn't get out of the car. He just handed me the key to the cap of the petrol tank. And as he did so, he barked out, "And keep your filthy little hands to yourself. Do you understand?" I didn't understand. I didn't understand at all. So I said, "What do you mean, sir?" There was a leather riding crop on the seat behind him. He picked it up and pointed it at me like a pistol. "If you make any dirty finger marks on my paintwork," he said, "I'll step right out of this car and give you a good hiding." My father was out of the workshop even before, almost before Mr. Hazell had stopped speaking. He strode up to the window of the car and he placed his hands on the sill and said, as he leaned in, "I don't like you speaking to my son like that," he said. His voice was dangerously soft. Mr. Hazell did not look at him. He sat quite still in the seat of his Rolls-Royce, his tiny piggy eyes staring straight ahead. There was a smug, superior little smile around the corners of his mouth. "You had no reason to threaten my son," my father went on. "He had done nothing wrong." Mr. Hazell continued to act as though my father wasn't there. "And next time you threaten someone with a good hiding, I suggest you pick on a person who's your own size," my father said. "Like me, for instance." Mr. Hazell still did not move. "Now go away, please," my father said. "We do not wish to serve you." He took the key from my hand and tossed it in through the window, and the Rolls-Royce drove away in a vast cloud of dust. Well, I think Danny's dad did the right thing. God, I would be so angry if somebody spoke to one of my children like that. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like. Oh, there. In the illustrations, you can see it there. There's Mr. Hazell. There's Danny's dad, and there's Danny by the filling station. He looks like a horrible, slobby snob of a man. But you'll find out tomorrow that Mr. Hazell knows powerful people who might try to change things for Danny and his dad. Mr. Hazell will try to get his revenge tomorrow, but will he succeed? You'll find out.